if you had an infinite amount of time. If time was eternal, you could get everything done you needed to get done, and many more things, as long as you can think of them, as long as you could come up with a new possibility, you could get that done as well. So if you had an infinite amount of time, you have infinite number of possibilities that you could accomplish. And that is the quantum world. There's so much time. Time is so eternal that all possibilities exist in the eternal now. Now, in this realm, you can't experience it with your senses. You can only experience it with your consciousness or your awareness. This is the realm of frequency, of energy, of vibration, information. This is the realm where you transcend everything separate and you begin to experience oneness, wholeness, connection to something greater. In this realm of time-space, you've transcended space-time. So in this realm, there is no space. Now, if there is no space, then I can't move from one point of consciousness to another point of consciousness, which means there is no time. In fact, it is beyond space and time. There's one long present moment. Now, when you create from the field instead of from matter, you can exert greater effects on the nature of reality. So if you're in the realm of thought and there's no separation, then every single thought that you think has a frequency. So if you're thinking thoughts that are connected to emotions like anger or frustration or pain or suffering or guilt, those thoughts produce a slower frequency. And because they produce a slower frequency, that causes us to feel more like matter and less like energy. And we have to, in this realm, manage our thoughts and our awareness. Every single emotion produces a frequency. And the slower the frequency, the slower the vibration, the slower the outcome in manifesting three-dimensional reality. The faster the frequency, the more elevated the emotion, the closer we are getting to the unified field. And what we tell our student body to do is to tune into a frequency of wholeness and oneness. Become more aware of it. Stay connected to it moment by moment by moment. As they begin to open their awareness and tune into this frequency, once they can feel it, once they can experience it, once they can become more aware of it, every time they have an experience of it, they begin to lay down circuits in their brain to begin to perceive more of it the next time. And in a sense, they're wiring their brain to become connected to that invisible field. So how much of your waking day are you aware of matter, and how much of your waking day are you aware of energy and information? Most people put all of their attention on matter, so their brain is wired for the material world. Now, the quantum field, if you're unaware of it, it doesn't exist for you. And if you're trying to experience it with your senses, then you're in the habit of looking for something from this material world. And it's breaking the habit and being able to, as an awareness, linger in this field and begin to connect to it. And then ask yourself, is there more love to experience? Is there more oneness, more wholeness to experience? And just like listening to music and paying attention to the subtleties or becoming more aware of something, as you become more aware of these frequencies, every experience that you have brings you closer to that unified field. Now, when your consciousness can begin to merge with greater consciousness, the intelligence of that unified field, when you continue to surrender some aspect of your limited self to join the greater self, if you can surrender completely and let go of your identity and become more of it and less of you, if you were to continue this process, now think about this, we've been saying that in this realm of space-time, the separation of 2 points of consciousness creates time. Well, the more you're connected to this unified field, and if your consciousness is completely connected or surrendered or dissolved into a greater consciousness, and there's no separation between 2 points of consciousness, then there is no time. Which means then, if you're creating from the field and you're connected to this frequency or to this energy, now you no longer play by the rules of Newtonian physics, where everything takes time. Now you're playing by the quantum. And if you're creating from that energy called source energy, from the unified field that is connected and organizing everything material, then you can exert greater effects on the nature of reality. And now, when you're connected and you're creating from the field, you're no longer trying. You're no longer wishing, you're no longer wanting, you're no longer hoping. You feel so whole. You feel like it's already happened. And if you're creating from the field instead of from matter, now you're beginning to warp space and time, and the event comes to you. And all you have to do then is create a vibrational match between your energy and some potential in the quantum field, and it only requires 2 things: a coherent brain and a coherent heart. Now, if every thought has a frequency, and you're creating from lower frequencies, then you're creating from duality or polarity. Once you get energy into your heart, and we said all along that this is the center that connects you to the field, once the heart begins to beat in a coherent way, you start feeling connected to something greater. Now, if you can create a clear intention with a coherent brain, that's the signal that you're sending out. Now, every thought has a frequency. So if you're beginning to create with the frequency of falling in love with your creation, feeling grateful that it's already happened, beginning to bond and connect with your future, if the feeling draws the event back to you, as long as you can bond and connect to that emotion in your heart, you begin to draw the experience to you. So if this is the realm where all possibilities exist, if this is the realm where there's an infinite amount of time, and you can merge your consciousness with a greater consciousness and create from the field instead of from matter, then you can become the consciousness of anyone. You can have any body. You can live anywhere. You can own anything, and you can be in any time. And since all possibilities exist in the eternal now, there is no past, there is no future, there is the eternal present moment. If moving from space-time into time-space, we have to pass through a bridge or through a portal, then the 4th dimension is time. As we begin to move into the present moment and we move into time-space, we move into the 5th dimension, the multiverse, where there's infinite possibilities, the unknown instead of the known. That's where all potentials exist. Now, this is a good way for you to understand space-time, the realm of 3-dimensional world, the Newtonian world, and the bridge to the quantum, 4th dimension, moving to the realm of time-space, where there's an infinite amount of time, or the quantum world. Once you get there, then there's infinite possibilities, and it makes sense you can become the consciousness of anybody, of anyone, of anything, of anywhere, in any time. So, as you move from one point of consciousness to another point of consciousness, you move through space and you experience time. Now, if you are the source of all consciousness, you are the all in all. If you are creating from that place, then you can't move anywhere. The only way you move through time is by changing your vibration or your frequency. And as you move through time and change your frequency, you experience dimensions or spaces. Now, let's give you an example. You're in the realm where you're beyond space and time. There's no place to go because there's no space, and if there's no space, there's no time. There's just one long moment, and you want to begin to experience other possibilities. Well, the only way you are going to move through them, instead of moving from one point to another, speeding up or slowing down, you just change your frequency. And as you change your frequency, or you change your thought, and every thought has a frequency, and you can tune into the frequency of that thought or that possibility, you begin to move through time, and you experience spaces or dimensions. I was interested in what connects the physics of this field to the biology of our brain. And I spent quite a bit of time researching the pineal gland and all its magical elixirs and how all those chemicals fit into the same receptor sites as serotonin and melatonin in the brain, but they produce a lucid or transcendental experience. And